Talked about it yesterday, just that chip on your shoulder. Everyone talking about a neutral AFC championship game, not even thinking about you guys. How much did that motivate you coming into this?
You better send those refunds.
I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. We ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. Back-to-back champs, kings of the north with it. Thinking they can hang with us, still ain't jumped out the porch with it. Long bomb to chase every Sunday, watch him go and get it. Double up on him, then we gon' double down on T. Higgins. Then throw Boyd in the mix, now you really iffy. Every Sunday showing boys how to really gritty. They try to shuffle up the game on us, but they ain't icky. Flip the coin, kick the toe Roger to go and get it. Never know what's gonna happen when Joe drop back. He get shiesty in the pocket, I get shiesty on the track. Nobody on the team all pro, that's all cap. Most all around team in the NFL, that's all fact. Ain't came across nobody yet that seem like they can hang with us. They said we couldn't be Buffalo, but see how we call they bluff. Underdogs every week, they keep on trying to label us. Put your money on us, even if Vegas don't favor us. No matter what, we really came up, now it's hard to fail. I dare you come across that middle, Von gon' ring your bell. I know we under they skin, them boys built frail. Eli Apple out there chirping like a next tail. You don't want Salmon Trey to come off them ends. Rita clogging up the middle like a big body Benz. Right behind them Logan and Pratt, the turnover twins. Jesse Bates in the backfield just to clean up the loose ends. We just drafted Cam and drafted Hill. Instant gratification every time that they on the field. We can't go back to what we was, cause that's the loser way. It's been hard to throw on us since we picked up a Woozier. It's like win after win, feel like we could really do it. Zach Taylor doing his thing for the city, I give it to him. And I bet Samaji will find a hole if you give it to him. Hayden Hurst don't need a hole, he just plan on running through him. Just hand it off to 28 and let him do the dash. Getting hit by BJ Hill probably feel like a car crash. Every week it seem like Lou digging deeper in his bag. And if the game on the line, all my favorite money match. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. Fuck a coin flip, it's time to pay up. Don't cross the middle, 21 in the cut. And we ain't hiding from nobody, run and tell them it's up.
What do we say, Dolph?
That's right. They got playoffs. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor. If you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,322 subscribers. As always, I couldn't do this without you guys. But if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button, hit the bell for notification. Every time I go live, you'll be notified. Also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you got a question you want to ask my boy Malik, anything about sit down, stay in the jungle, you just want to support the show, give me a super chat. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, and you know what? I'm wearing it today. I got the hat on. I got the straight out Cincy shirt on, but I wear it most days. JackpotJoey9.com if you want any of the hats or the banner or any of that stuff, shirts, all that stuff, it's at JackpotJoey9. There it is, JackpotJoey9.com. Portions of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Hunger Relief Fund and the Joe Burrow Foundation. Also, the beer is out. So from what I've been told, right here, this beer right here, it's out in the cans. And you can get it at select Kroger's, meaning the big ones. What I've been told, I'm not sure what the big ones are. I don't think the Delhi one is considered a big one because I don't think it's there. I wish it would be there. It'd be nice. But it is at select Kroger, so make sure you guys go out there and get yourself some award-winning beer, delicious beer, and, of course, it's important, the greatest quarterback in the NFL, Joe Burrow. Also, make sure you guys sign up for the Jackpot Joey Cornhole Tournament. It is October 14th. It's going to be at Brink Brewery. 100% of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation. You can sign up at Brink Brewery. You can go there. They have a sign-up sheet at the bar. You can go there. You can sign up there. You can actually go to any of Brink Brewery's websites or anything like that. They have them up there. So make sure you go sign up. It's going to be part of the Chili Fest. We'll have a great time. Go check that out. Also, next Friday, I think we'll be doing a live show from Break Brewery. So we got you covered. We got the beer there. We got Joe Burrow. Well, Joe Burrow's not going to be there. I wish he'd be there. That would be awesome. Maybe sometimes, Joe, if you ever, you're bored, I know you get bored sometimes. You want to go on podcasts, Yeah, I know Malik's probably got a better shot at getting you on than I do. But, come on. If you really want to, come on, just give a guy a shot. Come on my show. Anyway. I'm just kidding. Let's get to my boy. The reason everybody's here, and if you guys don't follow him on Twitter, why the hell not? You should follow him on Twitter. Watch the sit down. Watch State of the Jungle. I had Evan McPhillips on last week, a week from today. He was on last Tuesday. So I got his better half. I got Malik on. Let's get the Malik. What's going on, brother? How are you?
What's going on, Jeff? Thanks for having me on. A long time, man. It's been a long time.
Dude, I know. It's been a minute. Last time I saw you, we were getting ready to go on a trip to Tampa.
Yep.
And we happened to be on the same flight. And, that was a good trip. Down there to Florida and go beat the GOAT, Tom Brady. I kind of like that trip.
Yeah, man. It was a fun time. What a plane ride that was, man. All the Bengals fans yelling, "Who dey, who dey," and then the guy yelling, "It's third down." So that,
right, exactly.
That was all fun.
That was cool, man. That was cool. So it's been, like I said, it's been a little while since you've been on. I mean, when you're on before, it was just the right report, which is a great thing. There's not denoting it at all. But now you got the sit down, you got the State of the Jungle, you got First Star. I mean, you've kind of like big time on me now, dude. I'm like you're like blowing up, brother.
Not big time, man. Just giving back to the city of Cincinnati, man. So you guys were instrumental to my growth. Obviously, started breaking news for the Bengals and has since then, just expanded to many different sports teams and things of that nature. But yeah, man, it's been a crazy year. Been having a great time. I know we've crossed paths several times throughout the year. It's at Bengals games, so on and so forth. But man, it's good to be back on with you, my man. It really is.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Seriously though, it's been a long time. But what is I guess. All right, let's just get down. Let's get down to it. Friday night, Bengals played the Packers.
Yeah.
Do we have to address the backup quarterback situation? Because I don't know about you, but neither one of them looked all that good to me.
Yeah, I wasn't too impressed with any of the backup quarterbacks. I thought Browning looked a little bit more impressive than Trevor Siemian. I just also think that is because Browning might have a little bit more juice as far as being the ability to extend plays and make things work for him. I think Trevor Siemian's a little older now. He's more of the traditional pocket passer. So I think that's why we were able to see a lot more promise, if you want to call it that, from Jake Browning, but still neither are really impressed. So you sort of are left with the thought process that if Joe Burrow goes down, respectfully, we're screwed. Right. I personally love Reed Sinnett. Personally, I remember a couple of years ago in preseason, he diced us up. He made it look easy against us. So that's a guy that I've always liked. I don't know if we'll ever get a chance to really see him, but he, to me, I think he offers a lot more than both those guys.
Yeah, I thought Jake Browning actually played good last year in preseason, and I was kind of rooting for him, to be honest, to be the backup. Now the problem is, Trevor Siemian's got 30 starts in the NFL. Jake doesn't have any, but Jake knows the system better. And from what I've heard, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, TB, these guys actually go to Jake a lot of times to break down what they're seeing and compared to what he's seeing, because Joe's too busy trying to figure out. Not that Joe can't help them, but Joe's busy trying to figure other stuff out. I think that says a lot about Jake and how his teammates respect his opinion and stuff.
Right, I agree with you, man. I think it's going to be an uphill climb for him to obviously win that number quarterback 2 battle. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, especially if he continues to have better performances in the preseason than a guy like Trevor Siemian.
So you're saying Nick Foles is on a plane here? Is that we breaking news?
If it was up to me, I would personally like for the Bengals to really go after the backup quarterback positions for the just in case factor. You just never know in the National Football League what could transpire. Obviously, we're all banking on Joey Burrow's health, and we're all banking on him to be healthy. But you certainly want to, the backup quarterback job is such an important job in the National Football League, and I feel like it's one of those things where you don't realize how important it is until you need to turn to it.
Well, we all got scared, the second day of practice when Joe comes up limping, and first thing everybody's like, "Oh, it's his Achilles. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that." Well, yeah. My boy Mark Slaughter got a video of him running around, and making passes and
Mhm.
looking fine. I mean, he wasn't running at 100%,
Mhm.
but I'm pretty confident as long as he doesn't have a setback, he's going to be okay for week 1. But to your point, the what if factor, because and I've said this, because I was in Brandon Allen's corner. I thought he was an okay backup. Yes, we could have upgraded, but Malik, let's be real here. If Joe Burrow jackpot goes down, it's not going to look good no matter who the quarterback is, to be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to. That speaks to how great Joe Burrow is, right? He's that guy like that is so talented, and I think when you look at it, you don't want to ever find yourself in a situation in which Joe Burrow is not out there as the starting quarterback. So, for me, I just think the best course of action, because there's no replacing Joe Burrow if he ever was to go down. The best course of action is just get somebody that's comfortable with the system, that sort of knows the timing of the routes,
Right.
and sort of has built a rapport with some of these receivers.
Exactly. So we are in week 3, I think, of training camp. What is I guess what is the storylines for you that you've noticed? Is it Yoshi Mania? Is it Chuck Sizzle? Is it Trey Henderson look like a freaking psychopath and making one-hand catches?
I've got 3 storylines for you that have sort of stuck out for me. One of those storylines is going to be very hard to keep Jordan Battle off the field. I think Jordan Battle is going to wind up winning the safety job, and I've been an advocate of Jordan Battle.
I've said that for a while
on the show. I think that me being an Alabama Crimson Tide fan, I was fortunate enough to watch him play quite often. I saw the way he was able to set the tone and be such a difference maker out there for his defense. But the other one I would also say is obviously Yoshi has played really, really great, and there were some people that thought were under the impression that it's going to be hard for Yoshi to crack the active roster, right? Because
that was me.
because the special teams ability of certain guys on the team. But Yoshi has also shown in practice that he can provide a lot in special teams as a gunner and things of that nature. So, and I think the next thing that kind of stuck out to me, I would have to say is, so we said Jordan Battle, we said Yoshi, and then DJ Turner, the emergence of DJ Turner, man.
Yes.
DJ Turner has played really, really great. And I feel like that's going to be another guy that, when you look at it, if you're looking at the future of the defensive back room for the Cincinnati Bengals, a guy like DJ Turner is going to have a lot to offer. He's going to have a lot to offer, and he's a guy that I think can find himself in a long-term role sooner rather than later. He certainly impressed me. And shout out to my man, Drew Garrison. He was pretty much raving about him on the draft, the First Star Logistics draft party event. And he was like, the Bengals just got a great one in DJ Turner. And honestly, I thought it was the Michigan bias creeping in a little bit. Obviously, I knew DJ Turner was good, but DJ Turner has turned a lot of heads in training camp, and he even played really, really well in the first preseason game. Want to see more out of Sidney Jones too.
Yes.
I wasn't too impressed, honestly.
No, he got beat too many times.
Yeah, so could be a little bit of rust there, but we, I'm hopeful.
So I'm pretty much excited about the secondary in general, except for Ivy. Like I said, Ivy was there, but he got beat. I hate to say it, but it kind of reminded me a lot of Eli Apple. He was there, couldn't make the play, but in general, the secondary, Malik, I think it has got to be one of, if not the fastest secondaries in the league. And I'm with you on Battle. I've said I think Battle. I said by the end of the year, I think he's going to be a starter, is what I've said. But anyway, let's get to the speed of the secondary. Is this one of the fastest secondaries in the NFL right now?
You have to say that it is, right? You look at it. Who else has a secondary quite like the Cincinnati Bengals? The Panthers, maybe? I don't know. When I look at it, the Bengals have a very, very good secondary, and I think speed, right? It's almost like that video game that came out back when I was a kid. It was Need for Speed, and I think that's one of those things that you always have a need for in the National Football League. I agree with you, Keith Bradley, too. I wouldn't, and shout out to Keith, man. He's always supporting my show as well. I wouldn't sleep on DJ Ivy, too. That guy does have speed, and his ball instincts are really, really good. And he's a guy that I think that obviously sometimes it takes a little bit of time to put it all together. So I'll be slow to judge on DJ Ivy. However, I am very, very hopeful for what he's going to bring to the table. But to answer your question, I do think the Bengals might have the fastest secondary in the National Football League, which is good.
Oh, absolutely, especially with the replacing of 2 great safeties. It's going to be hard to replace Bell and Bates, but I think I loved the drafting of Battle, and I've said this. Like I said, I've said this for a long time, but I think, and nothing against Scott, but I think Battle by the end of the year has a chance to be either the starter or get as many snaps as a starter there, because just his football intellect. I mean, he's a captain of Alabama. That says a lot right there.
Mm-hmm.
And just knowing where to be at the right time, and he always does that.
Yeah.
And I think if he got him, that frees up. Oh geez, I can't think of the other safety now. 23.
Dax Hill,
thank you. Frees up Dax Hill to be more a freelance, which is where I think Dax is better at. So that's where I think Battle could be more like Bell, and he could be more like Bates was.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you something better. I think Jordan Battle's ceiling is a lot higher than Von Bell's. I think Jordan Battle is very rangy. I think Jordan Battle can do a lot of great stuff there on the football field, but he's also has the ability to take over as that enforcer on the defense side of the ball. I think both of those guys can can do each other's position. I think Dax Hill could play strong safety if he needed to, play in the box if he needed to, play the deep safety if he needed to, and I think Jordan Battle has the same exact tangibles to do those things as well. And I just think people have saw just a small glimpse of Jordan Battle and what he's able to bring to the table, especially in that first preseason game, though, that quick pass breakup in the end zone that he had. His ball instincts are second to none. And again, I often told people this, being a Crimson Tide fan, a lot of people thought the other safety over in Alabama was the better safety out of the two. But I said, what people didn't realize was Jordan Battle allowed him to be able to play, to your point, as freely as he did. But if Jordan Battle was tasked to play with freely as he did, I think he'd see the same exact results.
Yeah, we'll let slide. You're a Crimson Tide fan. I mean, we all got our flaws. Just kidding, Malik. No, yeah. Now Zach's got this was actually my next one, which I am kind of concerned about this. He said, "Who do you think snags the RB2 role?" Which with Travion not playing, I thought it was his to lose, but Chase Brown looked pretty good. To me, it comes down to who can pass block. That's the biggest thing for me is RB2. Who could pass block the best? Chris Evans, from what I've heard, is getting better. But I'm honestly, Malik, I'm not sold on any of them right now. I thought Travion was going to be a guy, but we haven't seen him out there. He's gotten hurt, which has happened to him a lot. What's your thoughts on the RB2 role?
I think it's going to be Chase Brown. So I think Chase Brown's going to wind up winning it. You don't draft a guy that high without the mindset that guy is going to be the RB2 here in Cincinnati. Now, obviously, I think it could be a RB2 role in Cincinnati could be a running back by committee sort of thing where everybody sort of has a hand in it. That I don't think we could see a situation where we don't see a traditional RB2. But let's not just let's not just put the onus on the running back to be able to pass block. Joe Mixon has to improve as a pass blocker.
That is a must this year. He has to do that.
And so I think. You heard some of the coaches talk about it before. It's more just about trusting himself, just being able to trust himself out there and believe what he's believe in himself a little bit more. And I think that's going to be very, very critical, because the fact of the matter is what we're inadvertently doing is we're essentially putting the onus on a younger player, such as a rookie or a player in year 2 or year 3, to pick up that role of what Samaje Perine sort of left behind when he left us for Denver. And that's just not fair. Then at some point, you need your running back one. You need your bell cow to be able to pass block, because you can't be in a situation where you tip your hand consistently as to what you're doing. And the fact of the matter is, if Joe Mixon is able to shore up his pass blocking ability, we're able to see Joe Mixon be able to flourish more in the passing game as well, because that's something that he did at Oklahoma. And I feel like a repeated record consistently every single year. That is an evolution in Joe Mixon's game. That is a piece of Joe Mixon's game that we still have yet to unlock here in Cincinnati, is his ability from a receiving standpoint. We saw him step up last year. He had his best year from a receiving standpoint, but now we need to be able to put it all together. If Joe Mixon's able to pass block better, I think this offense becomes a little bit more dynamic, because you just don't know what an offense is doing. You don't tip your hand to these defensive coordinators.
Now, the other thing we have to worry about is, unfortunately, Joe Mixon, has the trial and everything is going on right now. And even if he doesn't get convicted of anything, the NFL has been known to still suspend him, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that is a thing that the Bengals have to take into fruition here, that it could happen. I mean, we could be a couple games without Mixon. And that's the part that's scary to me, is we're worried about RB2. I mean, what if we have a couple games where Mixon's not here? I mean, Samaje stepped up last year. One of these guys has got to step up, and it could be Chase Brown, it could be Travion, but I haven't seen that yet of who is the guy like, all right, this is my job, I'm taking this yet, and I haven't seen that yet. That's the scary part for me.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Somebody's gonna have to step up. It's gonna be very interesting to see who is able to.
And I see, what is it, Tabor? I'll probably say his name wrong. He wants to know who will get the kick or punt return role. And you mentioned Yoshi Voss, and Yoshi actually was taking some kick returns, which I thought was going to be a running back, but Yoshi could be. I thought it was going to be Chuck Sizzle as far as the punt return, but with him having the
shoulder labrum.
Yeah. So that's kind of up in the air. What's your thoughts on the punt and kick return?
I'd really love to see Chris Evans take it. I'd really love to see that, but he's got to have the ability to practice the same way he plays and earn these coaching staff's trust. That's what has to happen. And as long as he's able to do that, I think that this could be his job to lose. Chris Evans is very dynamic out there. We saw it in spots when he was in the kick return, duties last year, and that's something that I want to continue to see. I think he's in a prime spot to be able to win that job because of Charlie Jones's injury. Because I also just don't know if there's too many more pieces on the team that can truly threaten his spot.
Well, that's one thing. Chris Evans is one of the most frustrating Bengals for me, because I've seen so many times where he's made just unbelievable plays, which I believe in him that he can do this, but he just doesn't do it enough. And that's one thing I'm always wondering is he doesn't have his head in a playbook? The coaches don't trust him. And I mean, Malik, what is it? Why can't Chris Evans, first of all, just get on the field to make plays? What have you heard?
To be honest with you, it's been all quiet on fronts in terms of what the issue is with Chris Evans. The only thing that I could point to is that this coaching staff has always preached about being consistent, right? Being consistent and doing things the correct way, practicing the correct way, playing the correct way, being trustworthy while you're out there. And all that starts on the practice field. All that, you heard rumors, I want to say last year or even beginning of last year that he probably wasn't necessarily the best practicer. But again, those were just rumors. Those weren't reports that I couldn't necessarily verify. But I certainly think if there's a reason why that guy isn't on the football field, because he's proven that he could play, right? We saw it in the Detroit game.
Right.
We saw it in the Kansas City Chiefs game. So we do know he's dynamic enough. We do know that he has the ability to make plays while he's out there. What's the thing keeping him from actually, being a regular in this offense? And that's the one that I could look at is just consistency.
Right, exactly. Now let's get to the offensive line. Now, the good thing is, I've said this since the day they signed Orlando Zeus Brown, which I went absolutely freaking nuts, and I went live at like midnight and was freaking out that we signed him. And I was like, Jonah Williams going to move over, he's going to be your right tackle. Now the thing is, I've said this a couple times that I think they have a good chance of keeping L, putting him on the pup list for 6 weeks or whatever, and then bring him back and he could be our backup. Now the thing is, people say I'm crazy, but I mean, with Jax Carman's performance Friday night, I don't think that's so crazy anymore. I mean, what's your thoughts on keeping L as your swing tackle, your backup guy for 1 year? I mean,
I don't see there any world where Lyle Collins is cut. You a guy like that you want on your football team. Also, let's be mindful as well. And we talk about this on State of the Jungle a lot. Lyle Collins, a large portion of his contract is all about playing, right? It's a performance based. It's being out there. So guess what? If he's not playing, you're saving money. So we don't know when he's going to be ready to go back out there. We don't know when he's going to be ready to play. But the fact of the matter is, he's a guy that I look at and I say, you know what? It does more good than harm to have him on the team.
Right.
At the very least, when he was out there and he was playing, he was able to help solidify some parts of the offensive line, and he was starting to put it all together before the injury that took place. But he's a guy that I still think has a lot to offer, and I'm still not convinced he's not one of our better offensive linemen when he is healthy. So.
And the thing is, Malik, I mean, the last 2 years, the biggest problem that the Bengals have had is injuries on the offensive line and our backup guys. And I mean, what better to have as a backup is Lyle Collins? I mean, that's to me, it's a no-brainer to keep him. Now, what's your thoughts on Ford? Because I've heard, I mean, they signed him, said he can, compete for the right tackle job. I don't think any of us actually believe that. I think he's been a guard his whole career. I think he's going to be a guard. But he's actually starting to look pretty good as a backup guard. What's your thoughts on him?
I don't think he's a serious contention for the right tackle job. I think he is his position as we're looking at as guard. And honestly, you got to feel good about the Bengals offensive line depth this year. I forgot who it was that had tweeted out, but they said, when the Bengals make some cuts, they're going to be some really good players that they're going to have to that are no longer going to be on the team, and that's what I look at. I think Cody Ford is a guy that the Bengals basically took a flyer on and said, hey, you know what? We like this guy coming out of college, and they certainly did like him coming out of college. They also like Jawan Taylor. They had their eyes on a lot of these guys before the Buffalo Bills scooped up and took him, and the Jaguars took him. So it's one of those things where Frank Pollock and the coaching staff believe that they could fix him. It'll be interesting to see if that is going to be the case. At the very least, I think having a guy like Cody Ford on your football team who has started numerous games in the National Football League is a positive, because guess what? Now you're walking. Let's say, God forbid, you do have an injury like you sustained last year. You're not, bringing guys on from the practice squad, to essentially fulfill into starting roles who have never been thrusted into starting roles at all throughout their playing career. So having a guy like Cody Ford on the football team is important.
Now, what's your thoughts about Sharping?
I love Sharping.
Well, what about center? Because that's where they've been moving him over there. You think he's actually got a shot at being the backup center?
Here's what I'll say to this. I think the more versatile you are, the better it is for you. Max Sharping already is a guy that has starts under his belt, playoff starts under his belt for the Cincinnati Bengals, and regular season starts under his belts. The more basically tools he can have in the tool shed, the better it is for him. So God forbid if there's a situation where Teddy K goes down, or if there's a situation where Trey Hill has to be slotted over, or maybe there's a matchup that you just like better. It speaks to the guy's mental, his mental game. The fact that they're willing to trust him to take reps at center, because the fact of the matter is, to be a center in the National Football League, you have to be smart. You have to have the chops. You have to know what you're talking about. So he's a guy that's already proved that, hey, I could do the guard. I can be a starting guard if need be. I can definitely be a backup guard. This is a guy that was highly touted coming out of college, and even when he was on the Houston Texans, it didn't pan out there, but he looked good. He looked good for the Cincinnati Bengals in spots last year. He certainly struggled as well, but the fact that he's taking snaps at center, I wouldn't read too much into that. I think that's more so the more versatile you can be, the more tools you have in the tool shed, the more valuable you are to this football team.
So what's your thoughts on Jackson Carman right now? Because I'll tell you this, like my thought was, he's going to be, and I remember you on the draft night, because you couldn't tell me who they were going to draft. You knew they were going to get Jackson Carman, and you weren't happy about it. So I do remember that. But what's your thoughts on him? Because I thought that Jonah Williams is most likely going to be gone after this year, and hopefully after what Jackson did in the Baltimore or Buffalo game last year, he built on that. Now, saw him Friday night, didn't look so good. What do we do with this kid? I mean, he's a Cincinnati kid. He wanted to be a Bengal. I mean, I get growing more and more frustrated with this guy.
My thoughts are you should allow the offensive line, the people that are coaching this football team, that you're paying money to draft players to do their job. You shouldn't rely on all former offensive line coaches to sway you into taking a kid, because then you get results like this just because you trained the kid. The fact of the matter is, we all wanted to see Jackson Carman pan out when the Bengals drafted him. None of us, and I say none of us, a majority of us did not like the pick. We felt like there were better options sitting out there potentially. Mm-hmm. Like the kid, like Tavon, what's the kid's name? Tevin Jenkins, the kid that went to the Chicago Bears. Understanding that he had back injuries, but so did Jackson Carman, right? And we started to see how he's been starting to pan out. I just think that, it was one of those situations where probably should have just went with a known quantity and BPA in that situation. And Tevin Jenkins certainly was the best player available at that point. But in terms of what you do with Jackson Carman, you sort of give him the benefit of the doubt, because he is a second round pick, and you don't want to cut a second round pick. It's just not one of those things you wanted to do. It's like when you drafted Drew Sample and you knew, holy damn, that was a reach. You don't. What do you? Yeah, just a little bit. What do you do in that situation? Do you just cut the guy, or do you hopefully continue to work with him and think that this can pan out? Jackson Carman showed flashes at the left tackle position last year, to the point where people were like, "Oh, well, he can battle Jonah Williams, right?"
Maybe he can.
I don't know, man. I think that's the best. I think the best. I think the best course of action for Jackson Carman is let him continue to take reps as the backup left tackle. hoping that it never has to result in that, because that is the only position that he's seen somewhat competent in. Right tackle, the guy looked lost out there. Guard, he looked lost out there. So give him a chance to continue to try to win the backup left tackle job, so Jonah doesn't ever have to come over to left tackle. Jonah continue to be the right tackle in the event Orlando Brown can't go a game or something like that. That's the only way I see this guy. I see it making sense for the Bengals and making sense for him. But if you're asking what I think you're asking me, am I a believer in Jackson Carman?
I knew that. I knew that 2 years ago. I knew that answer then. So all right. So going forward, I know this is future, but you got Jonah Williams, you got Lyle Collins. Both are free agent. Lyle's a free agent after this year, right? Am I correct on that? Or
no, I think he's got 2 more years.
He's got 2 more years. All right, so that's another good reason to keep him, because I think Jonah's going to cost a lot more money, because if he proves he can play right tackle and he proves he can play left tackle, he's going to make himself even more valuable. Mm-hmm. So going forward, then if Lyle has a healthy seaon, mm-hmm. I'm assuming that he would be our right tackle. I don't see them spending the money to re-sign Jonah. I think, which if Lyle is healthy, I think he's a hell of a right tackle. He actually might be better than Jonah at right tackle when he's healthy.
Lyle Collins?
Yeah.
Lyle Collins is the best right tackle on the team when healthy. Now we've heard reports that Jonah Williams looks great. You won't even know he's making the transition into right tackle. Yada yada yada. Well, listen, we'll see when the game starts. Obviously, you hope the best for Jonah Williams, because the fact of the matter is, regardless of what the Bengals and Jonah Williams went through, if Jonah Williams winds up having a stellar season at right tackle, there's no way in the world the Bengals don't try to keep that guy, because it's so hard to keep offensive linemen in the league, especially what is their philosophy: draft, develop, retain. That has always been their go-to. And you root for a guy like Jonah Williams. Listen, and people said coming out of the draft, if you remember, they were asking, hey, do you think you'll play right tackle? Do you think you'll play guard? Nope. He wanted to stay. He was staying steadfast. Hey, he grew up watching Joe Thomas. That was his guy. And, he was adamant on being a left tackle in the National Football League. And if you ask me, it's not really about that. I think it's about the financials aspect of it. I think a lot of players think that, hey, if I'm a left tackle, I get paid more than right tackles in the league. The fact that,
is that so true anymore? Because right tackles are getting some money now too.
I don't think it's necessarily true. I think it was. I think it's the old adage. I think it was true at one point in time. But I think that if you're a good tackle in the National Football League, because it's hard to find good tackles, teams will pay for that. And guess what? If Jonah Williams has a great season as the right tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, not only will the Bengals come calling for him, but other teams will come calling for him. It's up to the Bengals to make sure that they're able to keep that guy in the fold, because guess what? The Bengals don't want to restart again. They don't want to look at this as like, we don't, if they didn't think the relationship was salvageable, and fixable, they would have traded him. They would have traded him.
Right, exactly. Now, speaking of contract negotiations, and I'll admit it, I was surprised that Trey Henderson got re-signed or extended. I thought once they drafted Miles Murphy, I really thought that this might be his last year. They might cut him and to save money for Joe and T. Now, not long did they extend him, they went and re-signed Logan Wilson. So I had this crazy thought, because I'm still wondering what the hell is taking so long to sign Joe Burrow, because Sherbert signed. When I say Sherbert, I mean Herbert. He signed, Hurts signed, those are the ones he's waiting on. So who you got to beat. What are they waiting on? My crazy thought is Joe waiting for everybody else to sign, and then they have a better number of how he can structure his contract, which I think is crazy, but it's a thought, because what's taking so long, you think, Malik?
Jeff, I'll be honest with you, man, and I'm always truthful with you. I have no idea.
Right.
I have no idea, man. I don't have the answers there. I just think that the Bengals and Joe Burrow sides have both been very, very mum on it. I was just told several times it'll get done when it gets done, and that's that. And I've been respectful to the process of not checking in on that and not asking more, because I think that you should handle it with a little bit more, a little bit of respect. And I think the Bengals are doing that, honestly speaking. And here's what I'll say as well, man. I'll say this. I think the Bengals have done a great job this offseason of doing the things that they were supposed to do, whether it's reworking Joe Mixon's contract, reworking Trey Hendrickson's contract, getting Logan Wilson in the fold, because that's a guy you certainly wanted to keep. You didn't want this to play out long like the Jermaine Pratt situation played out, when you didn't think you were able to get a Jermaine Pratt back.
Right.
And then you want to work on getting guys like T. Higgins and Joe Burrow both back into the fold as well, to make sure you can, this core can stay together long term. So kudos to the front office for making the right decisions, because there were so many times where people are saying, well, the Bengals have to rework or restructure. I'm sorry, Joe Mixon's contract. Now I say that word rework because they don't look at it as a true restructure.
Right.
But they've basically passed all the colors this off. They've passed all everything in this offseason with flying colors. Everything that they were supposed to do, they have done.
And Malik, they've done stuff that, like, honestly, dude, I've been a Bengals fan my entire life. I'm 48 years old.
Mm-hmm.
They've done stuff I've never seen Bengals teams do. Nobody ever restructures it. They never ask people to restructure.
Mm-hmm.
Your contract's your contract.
Yeah.
And hear the stuff that players are saying. Like Logan Wilson, he goes, I want to play for Zach Taylor.
Right.
Pratt wants to play for this team. These guys love each other. And us Bengals fans throw that out there a lot. But it's real, man. I mean, just like T. Higgins was saying about Tyler Boyd and Chase, he goes, these are my brothers. These are my boys. I'm like, this team is legitimately a family more than and I'm not trying to blow this up, but more than any team that I can remember, because they genuinely love hanging out with each other. Because I've heard other beat writers saying they'll hang out, after practice and playing cards or playing ping pong or whatever. Well, they don't have to. I mean, that's something that is really unique to actually have in the NFL. I mean, you've been around a little while. Have you seen a more closer team than the Bengals are right now?
No, I mean, I just think that speaks to the culture that Zach Taylor and them have set forth, honestly. It's a band of brothers playing together for a common goal. They want to bring a Lombardi trophy to Cincinnati. The only team that I could think of even closely resembles us remotely is maybe the Legion of Boom. Yeah. And they talked about how close all those guys were from a relationship standpoint. So, yeah, it's one of those things where you haven't seen anything like that, but that's also a credit to Zach Taylor. This credit to the Blackburn family for bringing in the right guy to lead the ship, because at that point, even Zach Taylor wasn't the sexy name. Not everybody wanted Zach. People didn't want Zach Taylor. People just like, who is this guy?
I didn't know who he was.
He was a failed offensive coordinator at UC, and you had all the reasons to think that of why it wasn't going to work, but nobody talked enough about why it would work. And you talk about relationship building. I'll tell you something funny. Zach Taylor and I share a similar chiropractor / massage therapist, right. And they always talks about how awesome of a person that he is. And I've just moved to the city last year, and everything that I've ever heard about Zach Taylor is how personable he is.
Right.
He took the time after his interviews at the NFL Combine to speak with me for a good 7 minutes. We just talked, and there was just a one-on-one conversation. And the guy was just so humble and so awesome, and I can appreciate that. And I can understand why his players play for him. I can understand why people like him, and I can understand why the culture he's built in Cincinnati has been successful. It's because of the person leading the charge. So I have nothing but great things to say about Zach Taylor. The Bengals lucked out really by getting him as their head coach.
You're not kidding at all, because I've met him a couple times. I've never had like an actual sit down conversation with him, but my crazy ass is down at Bengals practice enough times where he recognizes me and doesn't know who I am. I think you see me enough times, and I've had a couple pictures taken with him or whatever. I said, hey, I'll see you at practice. And every time and it might just be tongue in cheek, I don't know, but every time he sees it, he goes, I know you will. And I believe him. I believe he knows that I'll be down there. I'll be up on the bridge, or I'll be at practice or whatever. And that just goes to me that Zach not only cares about his players, but he cares about the city, cares about the fans.
Even the thing he does outside after playoff games, he goes out to bars and hand out game balls. This is truly like a college football team. It almost feels like it's very band together, band of brothers, and it's really, really remarkable to see what they're building in Cincinnati. Really
exactly. It's very unique, and I'm just I just like I said, just being a Bengals fan forever and just enjoying this is just remarkable. Now let's get to all right. Where are you at as far as going into this season? Now, one thing that I have noticed going down to practice is some people agree with me, some people don't. I think Zach's practices have been more intense. The guys have been more focused. Not that they're not focused before, but it just seems more emphasis like, all right, we are here to do work. We're here to get going. And nobody said this. This is just my own personal opinion. I think they are focused on getting off to a good start to try to get that number one seed. And it's not like they got the 0-2 start last year. but they didn't get to 3-0, 4-0, 5-6. Get off, make people chase us. Do you feel that from what you've been covering with the Bengals?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that it's. I think a lot of it has to do with. Listen, they're ready to contend for a championship. They look like a
Right.
team that's ready to contend for a championship. They've been close. They've been in the Super Bowl. They've been in the AFC Championship, and they understand what this is supposed to look like. They understand what the process is supposed to look like. The cool thing about this team, right? It's not like it was a veteran coach coming in who's won Super Bowls and came to Cincinnati and sort of changed everything night and day, or even an offensive coordinator that won a bunch of Super Bowls. This is a guy that came in and was learning on the fly and learning as he went.
Right.
Went through a lot of trial and error, right? But once he did go through it, he was able to. They were able to realize, okay, what made us successful? What made us a successful football team last year? And what made us a successful football team last year was practicing the right way, being consistent, holding each other accountable. And it feels like the practices are intense. It's iron sharpening iron, right?
Right.
I'm so excited to see the growth of the defensive backs. Listen, I Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Ivy, Chidobe Awuzie, who's the guy most? DJ Turner. They are going to be so battle tested. No pun intended there about Jordan Battle, but they're going to be so battle tested when the season starts, because you're going up against arguably the best receiver in the National Football League, and the scariest wide receiver trio in the National Football League. Practice in, practice out, day in and day out. That is what you're going against. So, of course, iron sharpens iron. Of course, you're going to get better. So when you have to line up across the football field from Amon-Ra St. Brown, it won't feel that difficult because you're going against Jamar Chase T. Higgins every single week in practice. When you line up against Odell Beckham or Rashad Bateman, it's not going to feel like something that's foreign to you, because you're used to going up against elite receivers all the time. So I think that is really special. And I think that's the same thing for offensive line. Like people like Alex Kappa going up against DJ Reader in practice each and every single day. Of course, you're going to get better. Of course, you're going to be ready. You're going up against arguably the best nose tackle in football. So, it's really, really cool to see the talent really, take the next step forward here in Cincinnati. And I do expect the Bengals to have a really, really special season.
Now, one thing you brought up my boy DJ Reader, who I think is an absolute sham that he's not made an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl. But I am a little worried that they might not re-sign him because he is getting closer to 30. But my thing is, Malik, is they don't have anybody to replace him. And when he's not there, our run defense is not the same. What's your thoughts on DJ getting re-signed?
Here's what I'll say. I wouldn't worry about that right now. That's what I'll say. I know this because it was said to me. People like Logan Wilson, people like DJ Reader were fixtures on this football team and people that they wanted to be here in Cincinnati.
Right.
And they felt like they got DJ Reader at a point in time where he was entering into his prime. He wasn't really talked about a lot.
No.
It was an unsung, type of move. You talk about Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson was talked about, as, he was only been able to put up big numbers because he played alongside Cam Jordan. And then people saw the numbers put up his first year in Cincinnati, and it's like, this guy's actually good. So, it shows you how important they viewed Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson is probably the only true pass rush specialist on the football team, proven pass rush specialist on the football team, because you're hoping Joseph Ossai takes that next step. DJ Reader is the only proven dominant interior defensive lineman on this football team.
If you don't believe that, go watch the playoff game against Tennessee. Just go watch that video. Watch him.
Right. So I think that, of course, these guys are going to be people that they're going to hope to bring back. I don't see a world or foresee a world in which they just want those guys to walk out the door. It just wouldn't make a lot of sense.
I hope not, because I love DJ, and not only because I love him. He's a great player, and I think we don't have anybody to replace him. Now, another thing I've thought about here, and now you brought up Trey Hendrickson, and I know they're going to try to get less snaps for him this year because I think him and Sam wore down. Now with Miles Murphy and Ossai there, this is another thing. Just for me, thinking everybody's excited about the NASCAR package, third down possibilities. Malik, I think there's a chance they might put him out there more than just third down. Yeah. I mean, because if you get, Lou said this before, if you get pressure with just your front four or front three, that makes your secondary even better. Do you think they're going to have those four out there more than just on third downs, or are Lou's going to mix and match, or what do you think?
I don't know what Lou's going to do. I just know every defensive coordinator obviously would want the ability to rush the pass rushers with the defensive lineman. It go dating back to the Mike Zimmer days. It's one of those things where it's every defensive coordinator's dream to be able to get pressure on the opposing quarterback from the defensive line. So if Miles Murphy is a guy that's able to show consistency in practice and he's able to even show that consistency inside a game in limited reps, I mean, of course, he's going to be a hard guy to keep off the football field. Listen, it's hard to keep good football players off the football field. That's why a guy like Jordan Battle is going to be super tough to keep off the football field as well.
Exactly, and I'm really excited for Joseph Osai as hopefully he can stay healthy this year. And like I said, I think it's going to be better for Trey Henderson. I think he's going to get less snaps. They're going to have more of a rotation, kind of what Zim did back in when we had 80 in the 5-year playoff run, where it might be more of a rotation. I don't know. Either way, I think our pass rush is going to be better this year than it was last year, which our pass rush still wasn't awful. We just didn't get to the quarterback. We had a lot of pressures. We just didn't actually get the quarterback on the ground. I think we got a shot at getting the quarterback on the ground.
I agree, I think the same thing goes for, when you look at the ability that Mike Hilton brings to the table, the ability to rush the passer. You have so many different ways that you can sort of try to generate pressure on the quarterback, whether that be from the defensive line, the defensive ends, cornerback coming out of the slot. So it's going to be really, really fun and unique to see the way they use Mike Hilton this year, especially with the added additions to defensive back room.
All right, Crypt Keeper here said they asked this a little while ago. He said after Friday night's game, I don't see Murphy dressing all year long. What's your thoughts? I think he's going to dress all year.
I think he's going to dress. He's a first round pick. He's going to dress for sure. And I think he, at the very least, you're obviously waiting for him to take the next step as a pass rusher, but as a run stuffer, you saw a lot of flashes already.
Hey, Malik, I appreciate you coming on. You've been for 46 minutes. I know you're a busy guy. Tell everybody where they can find you. If they don't know, then they've been under a rock. Tell them about all the stuff you got going on, man.
Yes, man. I appreciate you, brother. You could follow me over on the Sit Down with Malik Wright's YouTube channel. I host a few shows, Sit Down with Malik Wright and State of the Jungle, which is live every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time, all presented by First Star Logistics. And make sure you give First Star Logistics a follow too. We've got some fun stuff planned this upcoming football season. Joe Goodberry just joined the fold. As you guys know, Lapham is the original, the OG First Star Logistics. And again, really, really proud of everything that we've accomplished so far together. And I'm excited to see what this upcoming football season holds. And make sure you guys continue to follow my guy, Jeff, man. He's doing a great job, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. I will be checking you out a lot more this year than I did last year. Christmas comes around, I get busy at work, but I will definitely check you out.
Appreciate you, brother.
You know when I'm on there, I'll make comments and stuff. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, Malik.
Yes, sir. See ya.
Good day, brother. All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Go follow Malik. Like I said, he's an awesome dude. Great show. Like I said, he's come on a couple of times. I appreciate the support he's given me over the years and everything. And like I said, he knows his stuff. Anyway, let's get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream. And as always, I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar. And then, of course, you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and Threads. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Treadable. TikTok is at Iceman90. You can look it all up under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'll be pulling a sign off later on tonight. Putting on the podcast on BeanPod, Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Give me a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. YouTubers, my originals, 2,322 subscribers. 5 years ago, I started this. I didn't have any subscribers. It's just me and an iPad over there talking to a camera. And it's grown to all this. So, again, couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys. I appreciate you guys. Give me some thumbs up. Share this out. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors about Sports Strawberry Ice. I appreciate it. Tomorrow, I would not be doing a show tomorrow because Son of Ice, or some people call him Sperm of Ice, turns 23 tomorrow. So we are going out as a family. So I will be taking tomorrow off, but I will be back Thursday. Like I said, next Friday, not this Friday, next Friday, we will be at Brink Brewery. I don't know who's going to be there with me. I don't know if I'm going to have a guest. I just know I'm going to be there. You guys come out and join the show. Maybe you show up. Maybe I'll put you on. Who knows? But come out there, enjoy some delicious Jackpot Joey beer and just have a great time. Bengals play the Falcons this Friday. I cannot wait. You guys have a great day, and I will see you on Thursday. Other than that, that's just sports, baby. See ya!